Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Twitch chat. Welcome back to Let Us Play. I'm your host, Father Evans. Good to be back with y'all today, and I hope you're having a good day. Good to see you, Mel. Good to see you, Bad Roxy. Good to see you, Hope. And Bad Roxy, congratulations. You have snatched the crown of victory this day. You have claimed it. I guess this makes you one of the 5 champions. Congratulations. Papa Evans. Well, no, not Evans. There's no S. Evans is a last name. Evan is a first name. Yes, it's confusing. Yes, someone could be named Evan Evans, and that would be terrible. Anyway. What are we doing today? What are we doing? Right. We're going to be playing... I decided we're going to play Chris Christopherson. Yeah, well, yeah. Anyway, I decided we're going to play 5 Champions of Canaan. You may remember we played 5 Guardians of David. Mario, exactly. Doesn't talk to my son. It's good not to talk to your son. Anyway, you may recall we played 5 Guardians of David, and it turned out to be a Diablo clone, and a surprisingly competent one. This is the sequel / maybe prequel? It's confusing and unclear. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. So let's get into it. This is 5 Champions of Canaan. Starting off strong with that soundtrack. What up, Chizo? Good to see you. Okay, so I had to make a test character just to even change the settings to make sure that they were fine. But we're gonna make our own. We're gonna make our own champion. Let's make a new champion. Now, here's why I think it's very confusing. Because you may recall there were the 5 Guardians of David, and like they were color coordinated, and they all had different abilities. And so it lets you pick a character like them. And the thing you can't see is that behind me it says they're here. I'll try and show you. Yeah. Son of Abishai. In order to be someone's son, you have to come after them. But I'm fairly certain that this game is a prequel. So I'm very confused. I just thought you all should know that. But yes, we can pick one of 5 classes, essentially, and each of them has 3 subclass options. So there's Abishai, who was the bow. Benaiah, who used the axe. Eleazar, who was just generic sword shield guy. You seem quite confused, just a wee bit perplexed. Jashobeam, who was the spear, and Shema, who was the sling. I really seem to remember liking Jashobeam's playstyle, so it's true, that would not be inaccurate, but
my inventory is full.
excuse me?
I don't have enough money. I can't use that.
Did King David have bodyguards? I mean, he probably would have had some sort of royal guard. It's not unreasonable to think of.
I don't have enough money.
That's the same person, just recording in a different part of the room.
My inventory is full.
What are these voice lines?
I'm blind. Oh, I'm blind.
My inventory is full.
Oh, everything is dark.
I don't know, chat. All these are bangers. Let's see, for subclass, nimble, precision, or restoration. I think let's go with restoration. It lets your abilities proc off more frequently. And then there's 3 spears. Each one kind of corresponds to one of the subclasses. So I think I'll use the one that corresponds directly. I like the health regen up of this one, though. Champion's name. Brevin.
It came to pass that the army of the Israelites, led by King David, defeated a fierce host of Ammonites.
Oh, those frame rates.
Rather than subjugate his foes, David benevolently made the region of Ammon and the city of Rabbah a vassal of the kingdom of Israel in the land of Canaan. The Ammonites, practitioners of human sacrifice to their god Moloch, were forbidden to continue such vile acts under the rule of Elohim, the Israelites' Lord. As the years passed, the Ammonites sought a new, furtive means of conducting their sacrifices. Ritual slayings disguised as arena combat. When word of these underhanded competitions reaches Jerusalem, the reaction is swift.
This will not stand!
King David's general sends for his most trusted agent, a confidant of the king known as Hushai the Archite.
Hushai, gather courageous young Israelites willing to answer a divine call. Bid them enter those profane competitions and disrupt such blasphemy. Let us show these Ammonites that those who follow the Lord can be great warriors, yet they do not yearn solely to spill the blood of their enemies.
The spy master quietly disseminates a message among all the tribes of Israel. The king's general seeks the bravest of Canaan's sons and daughters to undertake a noble task of the greatest importance.
Are you prepared? Very good. Then we shall begin. Before you is the Jerash Arena, a proving ground for the Ammonites' new generation of hopeful champions. Your first task is to enter the combats and establish your reputation as a skilled warrior. Use your victories to draw attention to yourself. Convince the Ammonites that you are a worthy challenger who must be allowed to compete in other, more difficult arenas.
I thought they just had the one arena. I'm confused. But imagine if this game had ray tracing. Thanks for the 34-month scale. Man, imagine if this game had ray tracing. It would look still probably not that great. I already have lots of thoughts. Because, like, oh. Okay, first of all, the last game had the, like, comic book cutscenes, which had a great level of charm to them. 2, the first game was more scripturally rooted, even though it was inventing characters. It still, like, followed the story of David and, like, his adventures. This one is just inventing stuff wholesale. Like, it's fascinating. Okay, so I just have the flurry attack with me already. I have not learned that ability. It's me, I'm the bad guy. Is this all the game is going to be? Is it just going to be arena fights? Because if so, that feels more like it should have been DLC of the first one, not a separate game. Like, if it's just arena fights, this feels like a serious step back compared to the other one. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on in Judges. A Dynasty Warriors type difficult Bible game would be neat. That could be fun. I do enjoy a good Dynasty Warriors game. Boo! Boo this man! Wait, if he's the local champion, why are they booing him? Shouldn't they be booing us? Oh no! Our allies! This guy's not doing a whole lot. Like, I know he's the first boss and all, but like... Is there a new Dynasty Warriors coming out? Alright, gear. Hammer. Yeah, Miracle Stone. Angel's Intense Light blinds enemies for 10 seconds. That actually sounds useful. Yeah, I can't use a shield with this spear. Proceed to next round. How do I proceed to next round? Oh, I just click the button. It came out in January. It shows how much I was paying attention. Imagine you get to play reenact pivotal battles of the Bible. Even play as Samson. Yeah, that could be fun. Does the Father Evan biblical game come out? Yes. Rail shooter came to defeat Goliath. Okay. It's a little out there, but sure. Father Evan, you summon She-Bear. Father Evan gave me a life as streamer and doing other priestly duties and time management. Oh no, you stream in an hour, but you also have to say mass. Isn't that just called Sainthood? That's true. That is kind of what Sainthood was. I still legitimately really like Sainthood. I think that's a really interesting game. The guy who made it actually commented on the VODs. So, you know, props to him for engagement. Oh my goodness, that's Alva's music! Okay, that was actually a pretty impressive flip to do. No, I'm dazed! I will say, I think the combat actually does feel better in this game. Make sure my HP doesn't get too low. What's HP? Oh, it's at 337. Life is a resource. Oh, no. No, it's a little too low. And I don't have any bread yet. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, okay, okay. Event in Father Evan's life game. Some Orthodox guy is strangely large Hungarian saving atheism. Do you want to make him a mod? I don't see any way that could have gone wrong. It could be choice branches that affect the ending. Skip stream, stay in bed. To nurse mystery fever. That is mystery fever, not gonna lie. I don't know what happened that day. It just... Spin candy wheel. No, I think spinning the candy wheel is just a random event that happens. Do. Got you. Candy wheel may have started the fever. You're not wrong. Speaking of which, candy wheel is the streamer equivalent of wild magic. The D&D joke, I get it. It's funny. Oh boy, a bow that I can't use. Although those gloves are pretty legit. Let's have the evasion. Okay, let's get to this candy wheel. Play Magic the Gathering to do stress and restore sanity. Oh, no, no, no. No, no, no. Magic the Gathering is very stressful. And there is no sanity. In fact, there's a card fraying sanity. Wheel of candy, spin, spin, spin. Tell me how I'm gonna suffer. Get stuck playing against Gales on a white person deck. Lose sanity. I've beaten that deck though, on multiple occasions. It is possible. You still need to finish your color deck tutorials. Yeah, you do. You need to get a collection to play Gladiator. Let's go. Beer candy. Actually running low on these. The only monocolor gladiator I do not have is blue yet. This is the IPA one. It's the worst of them all. You want a cat deck? Shocking, you know. Cat decks are legitimately meta. Hey, Craig. I blame hipsters, Hope. Like, to simulate the beer flavor, they just made it, like, salty? But then it's just, like, this herbal soapiness for the IPA flavor. Well, originally IPAs were developed, actually, because they could be stored and used over long periods of time, so they were perfect for voyages. That's where the term Indian in it comes from, is it was taken from England to India on long voyages, and the hops were a, not stabilizing, but a, what's the word, like, preservative. It's a preservative. It's like a caramel that's gone wrong. It's the only way I can describe this right now. It's still better than a pine cone. Hammer? You like those, but I know you do. You're allowed to be wrong, Gale. I was clicking. You're a people who says caramel. You teeter between that and caramel. I could never get into caramel. That's more the mountain. Could I say caramel? Does that help? Let's invent a new way to say it. Caramel. Just annoy and hate everyone. No, that's a giraffe. Tree Mountain? What? That has better armor. We have no bracers. Say Tremonton. I think say Tremont. No T's. Caramel? Caramel's pretty good, but I think I still like caramel. I still don't know what this ability does. Increase hit chance of it. Okay. Okay, that's a pretty nice ability. Yeah, if this is just arena fights, we're only going to do it one day. If there's, like, no actual story to experience. Because, like, the other one was, sure, a little repetitive in its fighting. But this was literally just one spot. Any pivotal battles after Christ died for the early Christians? There's been lots of pivotal battles throughout history. I mean, the people of the depicted in the New Testament didn't exactly engage in a lot of fighting. I'm stuck. This is a lot of enemies. Yeah, no, none in Axe or Ladders. I mean, there's the heavenly battles going on in Revelation, but that's a whole nother kettle of fish. Perhaps it is force failure? Haha, no, it's not. Although I'm fighting this guy again? We've already fought this person. Yeah, I'm getting ready for my WoW debut. Could be a roguelike. That could be. I don't think it is, though. We'll find out. He teleported? I did just pick up a bunch of games for Spirituality Tuesday on the Steam fall sale, though. So some really interesting looking titles. Oh. Well, now we'll find out. You are defeated. Continuing will recharge any applicable entry fees. Exiting will forfeit any all entry fees already paid. What do you mean entry fees? Steam page reviews says just arena fights. No! Well, we'll just play it today. But, yeah, I picked up, a whole bunch of games. What did I pick up? Oh, you must beat it. No! Is this Purgatory? This is honestly just kind of disappointing, because the first one, yeah, it wasn't, like, brilliant or anything, but it was fun, but it had a lot of character with its writing and the comic book cutscenes. And a faithfulness, but not literal, trying to one-for-one the passages, as it were. That was like, oh, okay. Except for the ending. The ending still honks. Imagine if Square Enix made a Bible game. I don't think zippers were invented in biblical times. Hey, Step Zero. Look, I don't read Steam descriptions. I just buy games. That's not true. I read the description of this one some time ago, but it was like, yeah, it's the same people. We'll give it a shot. And you know what? Today is that, Happy Vamp looks like Sora. Here, wear this black cloak, David. It will protect you against the darkness. Yeah, just zippered pockets. My boss commented in the staff meeting today that he came into the office last night, or well, yesterday evening, and he heard a Mickey Mouse voice and was very confused. To which I immediately responded, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, I do have bread. Apparently bread's just a rechargeable thing, because that's how bread works. But what did I pick up? In His Time. I picked up In His Time. It's a puzzle game about a boy dealing with mourning the loss of his father. So, you know, just something light. A game, I think it was called, like, Kayla or something. It's like a story of a woman and a wolf that she's a friend with going through a dying world. It's not my fault that a lot of spiritual games are just like, what's a spiritual topic? Death. Neva, is that the game you're talking about? I think so. It has like a very flat art style. Hey, Abandon. Picked up... I picked up a game that, from the Steam launcher, it gives me the option of picking the game or picking the game. I forget what its title is, but literally just gives me two options. And neither of them work. I have to go to the local files. Games about death and games which Noah collects animals. Those are the two options for spiritual games. I mean... Speaking of Noah games, I picked up and I played Noah's Dilemma. I don't think we're going to play it on stream because, one, the art style is terrifying. But I do really think it has an interesting gameplay style. I think it's fun. But it's also really weird because it's like, the flood came. And then the coral born, because they had to, like, invent an enemy, I guess? And so it's like, the undersea creatures are part of the flood and are attacking the people on boats. What? Speaking of Noah games, never had such innocuous sentence inspires such horror. Israelite sash, same armor, but I think the Ammonite one's better. This spear is a lot better. This. I have no boots, and I must scream. I'm just gonna... It doesn't have any, like, buffing abilities like this one does, but it's, like, 3 times the armor. Always wanted to see how any David Gate handles the Bathsheba stuff. Yeah, well, we saw that with this one, Five Guardians of David, and that was... Oh, they did not handle that one well. What was the game I picked? Oh, it was, speaking of Noah, the game I picked up was Flood, the prequel. I think there was one more game I picked up. Yeah, oh gosh, I can see it, but I don't remember it. I think it came out relatively recently. Did I tell you the good news? I'm not sure. I don't think so. What is the good news, Mel? Other than the good news of the gospel, which is always good news. Ah, yes, yes. You did say that you're electric. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. I think that's a beautiful thing to be involved with. Should I tell Miss Gouda her salty friend isn't so salty anymore? Well, there are salty cheeses, so you could just give her a salty cheese nickname. Then she'll fit in with the whole family. This game has no speed runs. Well, I'm on world record pace. Does it have an ending? Can it be speedrun without one? Oh, there's a good question. I mean, ostensibly there was some plot at some point. Boo, it's this guy again. All games can be speedrun if you try hard enough. Makes me think of the cartoon of the guy like speedrunning Life. And not the board game Life. Why are we booing? I don't know, because this guy has pointed horns on his helmet. And that makes him a nerd. Bonk. I think people with spears are bad. What's that say? Looking at spear. Like, surely with all these shekels, there must be a store eventually, right? Arena special conditions coming soon. That's not very promising. No, only go up. Some of your abilities are divine gifts given in the context of the game. Why does God operate on cooldown timers? Because the human body cannot operate at such efficiency. I'm gonna rich by spending money. Well, okay. Now you tell me. Remember the time I went from using 10% of my brain to 12%? Never again. This is why I use a single brain cell. It's so much more efficient just running on a single core. I wish my character, like, made some quips or something? I don't know. Like, I picked out a voice, and now my character hasn't said a thing. No, you don't. You know they would have looked 3 times by now. Okay, but... I see why this game gets much more middling reviews than the other one. Hey, devs, if you're watching, which I know you aren't, but if you were, go back to making a game like the first one. With maybe some of the combat polish of this one. Are there only, like, 3 bosses? I thought there'd be, like, 1 for each weapon type, but we've seen 2 spear users and a big stick guy. Poke, 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 poke. Level is up. Okay. I don't know why I'm getting kingstones or what a kingstone is, but my inventory's almost full. Samuel's Reign of Thunder. That sounds much more exciting than Blinding Light. 12 armor. I guess some vigor, so I'm going to stick with the other boots. However, those bracers look a lot better. What says that shawl? Okay. I want to test the roguelike ability of this. I saw something about how the first story-related thing appears around round 9. Oh, no. Okay, so we're at round 7, so I'm not going to do the thing I was going to do. I was going to just... die and then see what happens. Because we died earlier and it was like, would you like to restart or would you like to keep going? And we kept going. But if we're around 7 and plot happens at 9, beat the game. Beat the game. No. That's okay. I don't have to get a platinum trophy on everything. At least bronze. Well, I can guarantee we've probably gotten some achievements. I just have the toaster turned off. Exploding spear. Fun. So now I can swoop everyone in and then swoop everyone away. Boo! Repeat enemies, boo! They could have at least like had random name generator, so it's not just the same guy every time. Next game is Starfighter X, space combat game. That is a departure. I had not heard that. I'm curious. I like a good space combat game. I have Hodas. At some point, I should do a Star Wars Squadron VR stream, just cause. Does this space combat game have an official Microsoft Excel extension? I don't think it's going to be that kind of,
My inventory is full.
Ah, there's a voice line. Let's drop some of this common stuff. Okay, so Menace... So I have Alpha's Opulent, got Mibhar's Long Spear. I think that's the one I started with, yeah. Just Beam's Iron Spear. It's common, I'm just gonna dump it on the ground. Oh, that is much better armor. What? Why are you making me simple? I wanted to be restoration. Anyway, weird. Oh, the walls are in a different place now. Poke. To hunt a Wumpus 12. What happened to Wumpuses 1 through 11? Perhaps repetitive gameplay is meant to be a meditative penitential act. Ooh. This reminds you of a tribble. We're really doing the tribble population a favor in calling them. I mean, it's... Worth noting, you cannot pet the dogs. Well, they're wolves, not dogs, so I guess that I suppose there's a modicum of difference. Which of the repeat bosses will it be this time? Oh, it's guy with big hammer. We haven't seen him in a while. You know, Mega Wolves aren't just doggos. Wolves are doggos who just haven't realized they're puppers. This is a sentence I have had to now read with my own eyes. Thank you. No, not bacon. It's bones. It's bones that you domesticate them with in Minecraft. Dude, it's a Bronze Age. Get with the time to stop using a stone hammer. You're embarrassing us. My Miracle Stone is underwhelming. I just used it, and all it did was knock him down. Oh, and it's single use. That's cool. Oh, I just got some textiles. You know, like you do. What you get from a marina, right? Pretty sure non-miracle stone can knock people down too. You're not wrong. Protection of Boaz surrounds champion, increasing their armor. Okay. Anything else? No, not really. Okay, round 9. Could a Weatherstone knock people down? It depends. Is it a local Weatherstone that's just meant for a single household, or is it a Weatherstone meant for, like, the whole county? Oh my god, his AoE! Can we use Weatherstone, but it's like someone's backyard. Oh yeah, that could probably knock someone down. Yeah, that dispersal attack is actually very useful. There's a roll button, but I don't know how to use the roll button. It says SP. This guy is like the Green Ranger of this game, but before he's a good guy. No, I will not be elaborating. It's not the direction I want to go. I remember those days. What? The days of not elaborating things? Any day can be a day of not elaborating things if you want to.
My inventory is full.
Okay, Hailstones of Death. Yep, taking that one. Ammonite cloth tunic, not as good. I think that's everything. Okay. Well, that was round 9, and there was no plot, so let's do round 10. If there's no plot there, then we'll start experimenting. What's the talent tree look like? Ah, it's bold of you to assume there is one. I think we have experienced all of the talent tree with all 4 of our mighty abilities. It's like the other game at least did have options that you could keep unlocking things. And then, like, customize, but this one doesn't seem to. Why did you stab that way? That's not where I was clicking. You. Guys with bows. They're so obnoxious. I think they're cool standing at a distance. lurk. Hey, thank you for the lurk, Chizo. Emote only chat. One of the mods want to turn chat into emote only. Get some emote spam going. There we go. Emote only for a bit. Courtesy of Chizo. Knife. I don't know if that's meant it being emote only or just joining in the combat. Oh no, there's so many mushrooms. Oh no. It's a nightmare. Ah! Mel, you're scaring me. What is mushroom phobia? What's the word for it?
My inventory is full.
Ammonite war sling. Well, I don't use the sling as the wrong class. Israel Simla. Nowhere near as much armor. Okay, I'm gonna just let this occur. Because we've now completed 10 rounds of this. Oh no, my evasion skill's too good. I like the dodges that he does. Very, very Matrix-esque. Oh, you are defeated. I will exit. Round summary. Apparently I didn't get any relics, which I feel like I should have gotten. Champions, veterans, warriors. Huh? Such a good emote that your husband caught. Okay, so here's the more plot side of things. There's my stash. Alright. I need to get out only.
Hello.
Gibber, can I sell you things? Yes. I'm gonna hang on to all my miracle stones. Okay, and you can buy, like, according to different armors. Whoa. Plate pauldrons, 32 armor. That's huge. How many? I have 1,000 shekels. I picked up a phone call. Emote only was on. Now it's off, but I want my chance to get my emotes out there. Hey, emotes are always welcome here. Yes, let's buy those. What better? I don't know. I like the evasion, but that is a lot of armor. 21 armor. Let's buy that. I have no head covering. And now I have not a lot of... How is this basic spear so much more powerful? We also don't have enough for it anymore. That's unfortunate.
May the Lord grant you resourcefulness. All his chosen people depend upon it, I fear.
How may I help you?
Can I... No? You want me to buy... I have textiles and grain. I don't need your textiles and grain. I wish Pokemon was as dark and morbid in general as some of the Pokedex entries are. I'm glad it's not. There's a place for some whimsy.
Would you care to hear another tale, my little ones? Yes? Well then, gather closer, and I shall share with you a story of loyalty. Loyalty is perhaps the single greatest trait a good Israelite can exhibit. In this story, you shall hear how Eleazar risked imprisonment to aid David and his followers during a time of great need. Can each of you hear me? Good. Now, where to start? Yes.
Okay, so we do get some of the comic books, but these are just the comic books from the last game. And they're not voice acted. How do I... Yes, I would like to exit the comic viewer.
Eleazar made a difficult choice that day, children. He
How does a
chose
man
right
speak in comic
and
book? It's a
just
very impressive
action,
ability.
even though it was not a popular decision in the eyes of many. He demonstrated his unwavering loyalty and showed great bravery along the way.
Resource vendor. What do I do with my resources, though? Is there a spy network? It was a spy network last time. I don't know why it was a spy network. Oh, beggar network. That works.
Yes, yes, please. We are delighted to receive any goods you offer. Simply place it here and you may be on your way.
Donate my food. Donate my textiles. Eleazar, like the guy who stabbed the Israelites and when he brought along, or I think a different Eleazar. Gonna go out on a limb and guess. Okay, well I don't know What to do with the grain?
Are you the hero fighting in those incredible arena battles? I am in awe.
That is me.
As you compete, keep watch for a man named Z3.
Right, Big
Chief
Z.
architect of the arenas. My spies tell me he may yet remain nearby, presiding over a handful of the contests. Learn whatever you can regarding this Z3.
Right, Mizithra. Got
He
it.
was
Mhm.
unheard of before the Ammonites commenced their building
Anyone else hungry now?
projects, but he quickly gained renown among the Ammonite nobles. You possess enough knowledge for now to begin your journey. Good luck.
Exit Jerusalem and begin a new story event? Yeah. You're eating lunch right now? Well, okay then.
Behold, people of Jerash! Bid welcome to a new contingent of mighty warriors, sons and daughters of Canaan. They have ventured from beyond distant rise and river to pay homage to Moloch and do battle for the right to be proclaimed champion. I say to you warriors, greetings! May Moloch smile upon you, and may your weapons strike true!
Is this Solomon's time? It's kind of unclear when it is, except that it's
I
after
see
David.
the eager gleam in your eyes. Though fresh from the countryside, you believe you possess the mettle to best our champions. Perhaps you do, but likely you do not. Only Moloch knows whether you are blessed with the courage to face peril without flinching. Regale us with your honor and daring, and perhaps you shall triumph. Falter, and you shall return to your homelands in shame. But demonstrate
I think if
carelessness
I
and
falter, I
hubris,
return to my homeland
and
in
you
a
shall not
pine
return
box.
at all. Fight well.
The Lady Matonia has spoken. Now, let the day's combats commence!
Come, let us show the lady our prowess. Have at these wretches.
Is that Richard Garriott? Sound like Richard Garriott doing voice acting. Well, she wasn't that hard of a fight. Smack. Hey, why didn't he get like a whole entrance thing like the others did? Yeah, this really feels like it should have been like a side, well, not even a side quest, but like an option on the main screen of the other game. Like it's just an arena mode. It is only $4. That's fair. Is that on sale right now in the Steam sale, or is that just its normal price? It's also got VR capability, which I'm not sure what that's supposed to be. I guess it's probably just you can view it from VR. But I was too lazy to bring down my VR rig just for this.
Does this victory portend great triumphs to come?
How do you regard our newest champion?
The stranger has potential, but it is too early to conclude anything further.
An Israelite.
You issued an open proclamation that all who dwell in Canaan were welcome to compete. That petition includes those loyal to King David.
I am aware of my overture. In truth, I expected a bolder response from Jerusalem, not merely a lone wretch fresh from herding the flock sent to compete. It suggests David's trusted advisors do not consider us a serious threat. Good. Regardless, I would like to see our newest challenger removed from contention. I task you, Matonia, with ensuring that outcome.
You forget your place, Architect. I shall do nothing of the sort. Let this upstart meet a fitting end on the field of battle. That is the way of a warrior.
A fair point, my lady. I apologize if I acted out of turn. You speak wisely. The battlefield is the proper place to see this Israelite fall. And I shall ensure that is exactly what shall happen.
You're assuming David is a stand-in for Israel? It's unclear. Honestly, with the writing, it's like... Honestly, it's very unclear. But we finally have some plot, and apparently they don't like us competing. It's just weird. Okay. So Jerash is where we've started. So we can start at whatever round we want. I don't remember all the first game. Were they more clear about the timelines? Oh yeah, no, it was much more clear in the first one because you were like walking alongside David in his ascendancy to the throne up to the story of Bathsheba. Like, it was very clear when it was and who you were with. This one is just like, are they saying David in this, like, the sons of David metaphorical way, or is this literally like David is still in charge? Okay, so this place is under construction. Under construction. Under construction. So I guess I have to fight this random champion on the way?
Behold, people of Jerash! Bid welcome to a new contingent of mighty warriors, sons and daughters of Canaan. They have ventured from beyond distant rise and river to pay homage to Moloch and do battle for the right to be proclaimed champion. I say to you, warriors, greetings! May Moloch smile upon you, and may your weapon...
We already did this. Yeah, abandon this fight. Yeah, you'd probably have way better sense and context of the story now. Although I do think the first one did a good job of telling the story. Except for how it handled. Like, I just got a thing that was like, oh, you can go to this other arena, but like... And if I talk to him, that's all that happens. Oh, there we go. I can move around the map. That was not clear at all. That was not clear at all, chat. Let's go to Madaba. Hakuna Madaba. Is this in a cave? It's so dark. I should probably not be standing in the fire, but I can't move for some reason. This game just looks like a series of arenas, so it looks like an ARPG with a Bible set dressing. There's other ones which are much more Bible retelling with an ARPG flavor. Exactly, yeah. And I mean, honestly, right now, if you just saw this gameplay, you would not know that this is meant to necessarily even be biblical per se. You guess based on like Aramean and Moabite, but it doesn't like guarantee. I do think the combat feels a bit better than the first one. I will definitely give it that, which is good because that's the only thing this game has going for it. But I miss the more narrative and more level-based design of the other one. And the comic book cutscenes, like, those were so well done. Arenas are probably easier to design and program. Yeah. Like, physically they are smaller spaces, so. I don't know, it's just. It's a little disappointing, I guess, because the first one was such a surprise. Like, I did not expect to like the first one as much as I did. I was prepared to just play that one once and be like, oh, okay, so that's what that was. I wasn't expecting to play it, you know, all the way through the full plot. But Sub-Zero said their next game is going to be a space combat game, which I'm very curious about. Oh my goodness, these are WWE entrances. Look, he does a little dance and everything. He's a heel, chat. Oh, he does a lot of damage. I meant to do the other ability. That's okay. This fighter's gonna have a boa. Throw it. Is that? Oh my gosh, that's Abishai's music. We haven't seen him since. Oops. So I forfeit the entry fee already paid. I feel like I'm supposed to go back and... Like, I'm not strong enough to do that arena yet. And because I spent the relic, I need another relic to even get back there and compete again. That's wild. I wonder what these side arenas are. Let's see what happens if we go back here, if we restart. I get my own entrance now. Okay, so you do start from your highest round that you choose. That is interesting. But I think that's kind of the whole game, to be honest. Like, I keep doing fights, but I don't want to. Yeah, I think if this had just been a bonus mode in the original game, I'd be like, oh, that's neat. You know, if it wasn't, like, extra. Huh, you're let down, huh? Yeah, a little bit. Well, it's also fairly repetitive. Like, it's... Like, the last one, yeah, sure, it was repetitive because it was just a bunch of fighting, but, like, there felt like there were greater stakes because, A, bread was a limited resource, so you actually had to, like, watch how much you ate. And 2, there was a story that was unfolding and being told, and in a pretty good way. Whereas this one, yeah, it has a story, but it's like, I gotta do, like, so many fights with nothing in between, and it's like, doing that other arena, it's like, okay, well, now I have to redo the champion fight to get the relic to go back there, but I also need to be stronger, so it's like...
Hello.
You know, it's kind of... It is disappointing. I also haven't found the spy network. What do I give this grain to? I want to figure that out. Uh-oh. Kai and Junie, thank you for the raid. Welcome on in, raiders. Hope you're doing well. Did you get to the peak? Did you get up there? Did you get to the top? Good to see you, Gerudo. Good to see you, Junie. Good to see you, Frogmans. Mobius. Frogmans, thank you for the follow. Welcome. We are playing an interesting game. No peak, but we beat the Mesa. Hey, that's huge. The Mesa's not easy. This is called 5 Champions of Canaan. It's a sequel to 5 Guardians of David. I enjoyed Guardians of David. This one's a little more repetitive because it's all just arena fighting. So... Hey, love. Good to see you.
Behold, people of Jerash! Bid welcome to a new contingent.
Yes.
I say to you all.
Yes, we have seen we've seen this before. The guy's like,
the
"Wow."
eager gleam in your eyes, though fresh from the country.
The lady.
We will fight you, except we don't fight her. I don't know.
Show the lady our prowess.
What's the meaning of games anymore, chat? But yeah, it's a Diablo clone set in ancient Israel, set in King David's time. That body went flying. So we're unsure of quite when. Yeah, it is a little unclear. We think it's during the reign of King David, but it could also be maybe using David symbolically. And they haven't really given us any concrete clues. What you playing? Well, it's this kind of looks like League. It is a little bit like League. It's like Diablo. Hey, you think? Thanks so much, Kai. You have a good rest of your day. Take care. Yeah, it's called 5 Champions of Canaan. I recommend 5 Guardians of David, the other game, but. Whoop. It's Purpleman! Oh, they didn't mention Jerusalem, so that's why I was saying Solomon with the David equals Israel stand-in, but yeah. Talk about David's... Yeah, exactly. It's very unclear. Which maybe is intentional, that it's like, you know what, plausible deniability, just leave it kind of more open.
And you
Plot. You can redo this fight, which is weird, because we already did this. Did I earn any shekels from that? No, even though I think I'm supposed to. Oh, that did not give me back the Relic of Madaba. That's weird. It should have given me the key. Last time it gave me the key to go to the next place where I got my butt handed to me. So now I want to earn a little more money so I can afford that better spear. No, don't make me fight so many puppers. Don't make me the bad guy. Oh, I was not paying attention. Oops. I was not paying attention to my health. Oh, leave me alone. Guess what, buddy? It's your lucky day to meet my spear. Make my way around this wall. Do 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 do. Where'd you come from? So you can't see it, chat, because it's behind my head, but there's a bar filling up when you defeat enemies. It lets you know when you're getting closer to the boss. But it also has a thing indicating, like, a line indicating this, like, veteran. This mid-tier guy. He's so mid-chat. Now I'm kind of curious what a League of Legends, Dota, or what do they call those games? MOBAs would be like within this engine with, like what would the roster of biblical characters be? That's a terrifying question to ask. Boo! Get in here and get out of here. Poke you with my stick. Poke you with my stick. We did it. Ah, okay. So now I've unlocked another story event. So rather than going back to the... Seems pretty good. It's a much better belt. It's much better leggings. So now I can return to the market. And there should be another plot thing to happen. Yes.
Excellent work, young one. This Metonia has taken an interest in you. She has extended an invitation to more serious competitions. You are to be commended for what you have accomplished thus far. But do not permit pride to become your downfall. The opponents you shall face
It's not
next
pride that'll be
are
my downfall. It'll
talented
be my lack of
warriors
playing this
also.
game again.
Do not underestimate them. Have you spoken to your mother since your return? While your duty is to your king, you should never forget those who matter most. Your family. She waits for you in town now. Pay her a visit.
I'm not feeling like a very good son if I haven't visited my own mother yet.
Ah, it does my heart glad to see your smiling face, my child. It brightens the day. Though you face dangerous adversaries in the arena, do not forget to show the world kindness and compassion when you can. Here, take this small gift from your father and me. Carry it with you to remind you of the goodness in people, even when you must defeat them in battle.
Jeshbeam's armor. So slightly less armor than what I have equipped. A little bit of health regen, a lot of plus health, stamina, vigor. That's a tough one. I think this is slightly better. Well, those are just objectively better. Well, you take care, Junie. Thank you for the raid. You have a good time baking.
Hello.
I want some freshly baked goods. Wait, I had some today. Coworker brought. Dharma Dom, thank you for the follow. Welcome. Coworker brought in some scones. They didn't make them. They were from a local cafe, but also good. One of them was like a cheddar scone, and it tasted just like the cheddar biscuits from Red Lobster. This just does a lot of damage, so I'm going to... like, it doesn't have as much abilities, but... It looked like I'm wearing socks. Although, with all those straps, that could be from a Final Fantasy game. Were we talking about Final Fantasy and the number of zippers it would require earlier? Might also require belts and buckles. Yeah, this spear just does a lot more damage. Do we get more story? We got to talk to our mother. And she gave us some armor. Which kind of implies that when it says in the menu that you are son of Joshabim, that you are literally the son of Joshabim, which means you're kind of like the generation after the previous game. Invisalign! YK zip. Oh, I did not know YK zippers were made in Japan. Like, of course I have seen YK zippers everywhere. They're YK zippers. I didn't realize there were other brands. Wait, why can they do magic arrow thing? That's cheating. That's a hero ability. Excuse me, sirs. Sirs, stop that. No! I fell. Because of their cheating ways. Full of rudeness and malarkey. You're normal archers. Edomite Ranger, more like Edomite Cheater. I'm the only one who's supposed to have game-breaking abilities like that. What games are we playing next Tuesday? I think it's Neva is what I decided on next. It looked like a good game for October. Oh, it's him again. What's it about? A girl and her wolf friend traverse through a dying world. I think it's a 2D puzzle platformer. Moral quandary. No, it's not really a moral quandary in this game. Moral quandary is whether you keep playing it. Ooh, those are good pauldrons. See, this is the problem. I do get sucked in by the gameplay loop of, ooh, slightly better armor and equipment. It's a problem. Anyway, yeah, so that was 5 Guardians or Champions of Canaan. It's entirely fine. Like, fortunately, the actual like core gameplay is good. Like, the combat feels fine. It's just the story that links it all is kind of. It doesn't have the same charm as the other one, which is unfortunate, but you can't win them all. But let's check out what. Let's quit to desktop. So it's this game, Neva. Let's watch the trailer for it. Neva. Don't know how I didn't know about this game for so long. It's Devolver Digital. Maybe that's how I learned about it. But experience the moving tale of a young woman and her lifelong bond with a magnificent wolf that has antlers as they embark on a thrilling adventure through a rapidly dying world. Same makers of Gris. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited to check that out. I think I feel like that's an incredibly me kind of game. Yeah, it is the same people who made Gris. I've never played Gris. I have not. I have not played it. But I thought it looked cool. I really like the aesthetic. I love me a good Memento Mori, as you might know. So I figured, yeah, that'll be perfect. So we're going to start playing that next week for Spirituality Tuesday. But yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in to Let Us Play. I've been your host, Father Evan. It's been good to be with y'all today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Join us again tomorrow for Midweek Minecraft. Since it's October, and October is the anniversary month, we will be doing our anniversary build. That's in creative, so that'll be fun. So we'll do that. Brain. Thursday, more Donkey Kong Country 3, and then after that, I think we're going to switch to Riven. I think is what I had next on the schedule. I have something. I have a schedule. This is why I have a written schedule, so I don't have to remember it all off the top of my head every moment. So yeah, but thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you again to Kai and Junie for the raids. Thank you to all the new followers. Thank you to everyone who's liked, followed, subscribed, given bits, all that good jazz. Thank you for checking out the YouTube and the Discord. And again, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you again hopefully tomorrow. Let's see who's live that we can raid into. While I was looking at options to raid, I came across one where it's just someone has a countdown. And someone I know, it's they just have a countdown going on their stream. I don't know what that's about. Maybe some big reveal? I don't know. Geez, yeah, I guess some big reveal. I legitimately have no idea. I think I'll send you over to Canadian Mountie. Raided him pretty recently, but oh well. He's doing a 24-hour stream, so go give him some love. Go give him some hype, some energy. Raid call is it's his new model debut. I didn't know Geesh was gonna have a model now. But anyway, yeah, go give Canadian Mountie some love, some energy. He's 17 hours into a 24-hour stream. Raid call is Father Raid as usual. Spammy emotes you got. And again, hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care. God bless. I'm doing this entirely the wrong screen. I forgot to change screens. God bless.